This is Not Radio. It's a podcast.
This is not radio.
Checking. Hey guys. Everyone can hear me. All right. It is -3 in the beautiful Okanagan this morning. Buckle up. It's going to be a wild, windy day. I don't know. I got to practice my radio voice. Maybe you can teach me some tricks, Travis, when you get your microphone working. But we're sitting here at the Film Factory in the beautiful Okanagan. We're doing our 4th live test podcast of Not Radio. And, while Travis is troubleshooting, I'm just going to go over a few things.
1, 2. Oh, hey. I got a kink in my mic.
Oh, is that what's going on?
It is. That's why this is a test broadcast.
I bring that microphone cable.
I also turned down my mic because I was trying to turn down the speakers in the room so we can get feedback.
Okay.
Wrong knob. Cool. It's like 15 knobs here. +2?
+2 knobs, yeah.
Oh. All right.
What's going on today, Travis?
What is going on today? Well, more Olympics. There's negative stuff happening in the States. We don't really mainstream, right?
Yeah. If you want the mainstream news, don't come here.
Yeah, because we're going to cover other stuff. We're going to be your lighthearted alternative.
Yeah. But not like Care Bear lighthearted. You know?
Send you love.
Like a mighty warrior with compassion. That kind of lighthearted.
I think these transition sounds were supposed to like
might be too long
talk through.
Too.
Boom, and then we start, right? Now we go. So the idea was there's chunks to this show, and we can talk through. I'm also trying to get the levels right, so it looked like it was peaking there for a bit. Boom.
Yeah, maybe
in the live feed, but we don't have anybody actually listening or watching or monitoring the live feed.
Do you think the intro is too long? You don't, because you made it, but maybe you should consider that.
I also made it for a 1-hour podcast, not a half-hour internet broadcast show.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
With two different beasts.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sit like this so I can see you.
All right. Should we show our faces?
Yeah, let's show
to
our
the
beautiful
world?
faces. I'm gonna give them a kiss.
Let's see if I can remember what button it is.
Oh, there it is. Hey, yeah, you beautiful people out there. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being with us.
I got it. Turn my camera back on. Mm-hmm. I'm not even sure if I'm in focus, to be honest.
Wherever you are in the world, we're just wishing you some good luck today. It's the
go.
day after Valentine's Day, so congratulations to everyone who survived. Congratulations to everybody who had a great time yesterday. We'd love to hear what you've been up to, what kind of things. I don't like the same old things, though. You know, if you got something unique you did, maybe share it with the rest of us, and we can learn from you.
There you go. There goes my. I'm gonna have to get a new cable here, hey?
Yeah, I can bring one. I just keep not doing it.
You brought your headphones today, though. That's good.
Yeah, improvements, small improvements. That's what you got to do. You got to under-promise and over-deliver. That way, everyone's always impressed with you.
There you go.
That's my lesson for the day.
Always say it one more time. Over-deliver.
Under-promise, over-deliver. That way, everybody is always impressed with you.
There you go.
Right?
It can be tough, right? Sometimes we get in
you want to
mood,
overpromise.
Like, yeah,
that's
like,
what
I'm
all our
capable,
natural
or we're trying to sell ourselves.
You want to please the other person. You want to sell yourself, right? But it's the setting yourself up for disappointment, setting them up for disappointment. And rather you go like, I don't know, I don't know if I could do that, and then you do it like.
And it comes out of fear too, right? The idea of trying to please.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if I don't get this job? What if I don't get the gig? What if they leave? What if?
Yeah, we've had conversations about that before. Knowing your value and your worth is super important as a businessman, as any entrepreneur, whether you're a straight up standard, straight laced businessman or you're a creative type. You got to know your worth. You got to stick to it because nobody else is going to value you the way you can value yourself, and you got to set that up for people, and you got to exude that, and you have to sell people on that. That's the thing you have to sell them on.
There you go. And we were having conversations about who our audience might be, or at least who we want to create this for.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much stuff out in the world. So it's really a service we want to provide to be able to curate content to you, because the world's changing fast. Like, we're not even, you listen to the radio or watch TV, if you still watch broadcast news on television, you're not actually getting caught up on half the stuff that's happening in the world.
That's true.
Like, well, this one probably was in mainstream, but
What is
the
it?
Tesla, the Roadster that Elon.
Oh yeah, that's
Right.
all over mainstream. Yeah, that was on
Okay.
Colbert Report.
That's where I.
Or the whatever's the late night show with Colbert.
I'm curious. Okay, that's
Yeah,
awkward. So I said, "Don't touch this cable."
yeah.
There, that'll do.
There we go. It sounds okay.
I actually, because we're just ramping up here, we've been working on the technical bugs for our broadcast, and I don't actually have a list of headlines, but that'll be my intention and my
Well,
goal.
what about a list of technical bugs? What's going on? So we need a new cable.
Our news
Yeah,
is that we need a new cable. We need ideally another
another camera.
Maybe this is minor, but we're using 2 different cameras here, so we've got a webcam
It
that's
really
on
doesn't
Michael
look that bit bad. Like if you look at the actual live stream,
on the broadcast.
yeah, we look pretty much the same quality. I'm a little lighter, and a little fuzzier. That's about it.
And the camera that I've got connected to the computer is actually not even in HD. It's an HD camera, but the device I have won't
Won't allow to
take the
transfer.
HDMI cable. I'm
Ah,
using
I
a
see.
Blackmagic Intensity
Okay.
shuttle. And Blackmagic, although they promise, talking about overpromising,
Yeah.
their products all overpromise. And I've had problems with every single one I've ever used. Even the rep, I worked on a live streaming hockey game.
Yeah.
Rep came up. He had all Blackmagic gear and he was still having trouble.
Oh wow, that's not good when your
It's
rep
like,
can't
oh,
do it.
But when you get it working, it works good, but it's just hit and miss. It's like
Are they like-
70% of their products actually work out of the box.
Wow, are they like the leaders in that?
No,
field?
no, they're trying to. They're like a technology company, like a Samsung or something that is trying to get into the broadcast world.
Okay.
So Sony is like broadcast experience throughout the ages.
Yeah.
Samsung more consumer electronics, and it's like trying to make that leap. But when you come to broadcast and television media, it's got to work. It's got to work now, and millions of
course.
dollars are at risk if it doesn't work, even if it doesn't work for a second. Right? So there's a lot of expectation in this industry.
Have you ever seen someone get chewed out for that? Like, have you ever witnessed anyone getting fired? Have you ever been fired for any technical difficulties?
Not fired, but I did lose out on thousands of dollars of one of my first jobs because we were doing live, not a live stream, but it was a 4-camera setup at a marching band at McMahon Stadium in Calgary. And it was this huge competition, so marching bands came from all across North America.
Yeah. That
And-
must have been so noisy. That's great. What a great first
It
assignment.
was amazing. And Alex, my buddy, right, we started this company together, Tech Pro, and it was one of our first gigs, and it was a big deal. And we were packaging these DVDs, selling them to all of the band members, and we get all the gear set up. It was a big ordeal. Like we rented, $3,500 worth of gear and employed 10 people. And the deck, we were switching the whole event. And the show looked great, and we had a big jib, 20-foot
Oh, my
jib swooping
gosh.
through, and it looked
Oh,
amazing.
no.
And we hit record on everything. I get back home that night all excited to watch the show. I hit play on the tape deck, and nothing. Screen's blank. Like, what? And I take the tape out, and it's all spooled to the beginning back in the days of tape. Like, it hadn't recorded. So I was like, what's going on? So then I realized we hit record, but on these pro decks, you got to hit play and record at the same time. So it was in record standby. It was like waiting for the order. It was brutal. I took 6 months off work and thought, I don't know if I'm going to go into a different field.
No.
Just devastated. My mom talked me about into staying. She's like,
Wow.
you'll get over it. You'll get over it.
Yeah,
It'll
that's
be
such a simple mistake to like
bigger
let
things
ruin your
ahead.
life like that.
Oh.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But holy moly!
So then the mantra.
glad you didn't let that ruin.
Yeah, because
your
we wouldn't be
career
here.
choice.
But
Yeah.
I gained a lot of great experiences after that. And sure, it did teach me, and the mantra became make a mistake, but try not to make the same mistake twice.
Yeah, that's good. As long as you can learn from it, then
Yeah.
it's not. There's some value to it if you
Yeah.
can learn from it.
And there's some upset people. Like I had backup tapes in all of the cameras.
Yeah.
The jib didn't have a tape in it. So that whole show could have been shot on this swooping camera, and it didn't have a tape in that camera. So that was a complete waste. And two of the marching bands they got missed. Like the cameras weren't recording when they were on. And one of them was the winning band.
Oh no.
Yeah, so they were just livid. Like because they were expecting this high quality product, right? To show
Yeah.
off there's 30, 40, 50 kids in a band.
Yeah, and you got like the auxiliary cameras like recording you scratching your butt.
Yeah, so I had to hire somebody to edit it all together because emotionally I couldn't even look at it. I
Probably,
do
eh?
not want to. I can't do it.
Wow. And that was your first like big job.
The first big job solo. Yeah.
Wow, the tenacity on you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's a good lesson though, because a lot of people I think feel still in this day and age feel that success is the absence of failure.
The absence of failure.
Yeah, but it's
Wow.
not. It's you know, obviously as you know, you fail to succeed.
Yeah,
You
I-
fail forward and you succeed. That's how it happens.
Absolutely. In
So
the
you-
tech industry too, they say it's fail fast. Like
Yeah.
iterate often and fail fast because you're going to learn from those failures.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's true in any kind of entrepreneur endeavor,
Yeah.
because you're going to make a lot of mistakes. And a lot of times it seems that you could be like bouncing from idea to idea haphazardly. And even your family might chime in and be like, you know, you've had this idea, you've had that idea, you know, you're kind of spinning out of control. But what you're really doing is you're trying to learn from your failures and adjust your path accordingly. Especially when you're setting out to do something that there's not where you feel that there's a better model for, you feel that there's a better path to do.
Right.
Then you're going to have to take some missteps. You're shooting in the dark a lot of the time.
Actually, and that's been the journey of Not TV. So 10 years of trying to explain a vision to people, right? And hoping that they'll get it. And
How
it's
frustrating
like-
is that, by the way? Not even be able to put it in words for like, I've
Oh,
been
man.
there.
Yeah. And it takes time, right? Over time, you get better words, you get feedback from people. So you think, oh, maybe I should explain it this way. And early on, it would take an hour, 2 hours to try and explain this idea. But who's got the patience to listen to you for 2 hours?
Yeah.
Let me hear your idea, son.
I know. You got to be able to say it in what, like 15 seconds, 20 seconds?
Yeah, less than 30. Actually, it's like you got 10 seconds to hook them.
Yeah.
If you can interest somebody in 10, you get another 20 to book a meeting
Yeah. Wow.
for 10 minutes.
Okay.
And then you got that 10 minutes to try and sell them to the next meeting, which
So
would
you
be like
figured it out
maybe a
yet?
half hour.
Go. Now. 10 seconds.
For Not TV?
Yeah. 10.
Internet Broadcasting Network, that's a cooperative based on future technologies like blockchain and all this awesome stuff happening to empower artists to co-create together in a model completely alternative to the mainstream.
Groovy. Awesome. You guys like that? You guys have to be the judge.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And notRadio is part of that. So with this summer, we did our whole marketing, hey? And thank you. You did an amazing job. Lauren did an amazing job. Olga, Nuge, like we had a great team. Cindy, and I'm still trying to sort through all the pieces because it was a bit of a fiasco from a management perspective. I got in over my head. And the audience, thank you to everybody on the Facebook page for Not TV, because we had a number of donors, and I'm still connecting with all of them and thanking them. And I've been behind it. October is when I really should have been doing this. Hey, thank you for your support. What are we in February? This is like 5 months go by.
Yeah, you gotta take some time off. You know what we should do? We should start showing some of that content on this podcast.
That's a
I'd
great
love to
idea.
show a Busker's Guide to Kelowna.
I'm going to submit that to IndieFest.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we'll redo the beginning. Let's go up to Knox and shoot an intro
Okay,
credit
finally
sequence.
do the intro.
Do
with the
some
beard
credits
that's
and-
twice as long.
It'll be good. It'll be. I was thinking maybe just a shot of like
The
your
back,
van
yeah.
rolling to a stop on the outskirts of town or something.
Okay,
And then
yeah.
some footsteps, and then you're up on Knox, and you get your guitar out and start playing, and then we'll really creative shots. We'll put the credits over top.
Yeah,
like a
sure.
slow start of a movie,
Yeah,
and we'll go into that.
I like that. I think we should need to doctor my beard, and, like tuck it in or something.
Well, the cool thing about an intro is.
It doesn't really have to match up. I know. I'm being
okay.
silly.
Are you?
Yeah.
You want to?
I'm being a little
Should I
silly.
get a little beard tie, or
Just tuck it in with like.
we put some
little
colored
clips,
beads in there? No.
Right.
Movie magic, right?
It is getting out of control though. How long are you gonna let your beard go for?
I don't know. I was going for wizard status.
And where are you at right now?
Well,
Where's
somebody
Withers
said it
still?
is like wizard status, but to me, wizard status is like down here.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, you're beating me.
I'm thinking-
you're fuller on the sides.
I don't
too.
know. I don't mind.
Upsets me.
I was thinking of shaving it for summer.
Really?
Yeah.
The whole thing off.
Yeah.
No
Well,
one's gonna
go
know
down
what
to
you
like
look.
a f-
No one's gonna recognize it.
No. I shave my head and my beard. It'll just
Yeah,
be
you
like,
should do the whole thing.
yeah.
Eyebrows, everything.
Eyebrows too, eh?
Yeah, you just look like a changeling.
Yeah.
Just
I'll-
like morph around.
got off
everywhere.
a spaceship. There's your news. There is a spaceship spotted at Area 51. So somebody's monitoring from Google satellite view,
Okay.
Area 51, and
Yeah.
there's this cool satellite looking thing.
Well, were you paying attention to the
satellite looking thing, spaceship.
whole news cycle that came out of the Pentagon not too long ago?
Which
Well, the official story from the United States government is changing, where they're no longer denying UFO. Right? So they're admitting that there's these UFOs, that they don't know what they are. They're unidentified flying objects.
Yeah.
And then even further, there's like some top personnel, some top brass, who were on doing interviews talking about this. It was an asteroid or something, or we were told it was an asteroid, but it was like apparently it was so long and so thin that the physics of it didn't make sense. Like it couldn't be hurtling through space at the speed it was going without breaking up in the shape that it's in.
Oh, interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
So they were doing interviews, and some top level personnel of the Pentagon were saying that, as far as he's concerned, is not of it's alien technology. It's like this. It's a foreign alien technology. We don't understand it. So that's a huge step from denying it at every plausible case, right?
Interesting.
So something's happening. There's a change going on. Also, Tom DeLonge's on the case. Have you heard about that?
No, who's Tom DeLonge?
Okay, you remember the band Blink 182?
Yeah.
Okay, Tom DeLonge's the guitar player.
They did. No, wait, is that the? Oh, I'm thinking of Blur. now.
Oh no, I don't know any songs.
It's probably good. Facebook would ban us.
All the small things.
Yeah. Okay.
you
Big
can-
'90s song. Yeah.
Okay.
Takes me back to junior high.
There you go. So that's them. Tom DeLonge's guitarist, and he quit. He quit the band / got kicked out of the band. But whatever. He's been a lifelong. I don't want to use the word UFO advocate. I guess I don't know. I don't want to say conspiracy theorist. It's such a dirty word. But he's been after the truth for like his whole life, reading books, doing everything. But anyway, he set up a company called Beyond the Stars, and it's an entertainment property, I guess. It's like Disney. He explains it's like Disney, but it's all geared towards letting the public know the truth about aliens through drip feeding information to the masses, like movies and video games and songs and stuff like that. But they're all geared towards around acclimating the public to the truth.
Yeah.
And then he says he's working. Well, he is working. Like the people in his company are like top level people from like Lockheed Martin, from NASA. There's like it sounds really funny when you hear Tom DeLonge talking about it, but then he's like, oh yeah, these are the people on my board, and you're going through their credentials, and you're like, oh my, like really? Like there's some craziness going on right here. So who knows what that's all about? That could be more misinformation on purpose. That could be a ruse.
Well, I'm not sure. There's David Wilcock and Corey Good on Gaia who are talking about this complete exposure, right, of all this information that how do they describe it again? It's there's a word. Okay, it's still early. My brain's still on the technical side of things. Disclosure.
Disclosure.
Yeah,
okay.
it's full disclosure. So full disclosure of the planet, of all these things that we're not aware of. But there's a great person that I like following on YouTube, Bridget Nielsen.
Okay.
And she went out. Now she's down in the States. She's in Arizona. She went out into Times Square in New York and started asking people about aliens. Like, if aliens were to land, what would your reaction be? Like, do you believe in aliens? And trying to get people's reactions, because she said if right now aliens were to land, we don't even get along ourselves, right? Our species is still at war. So how would we embrace some extraterrestrial coming to the planet? It was still a very dangerous space for them.
Yeah, and even beyond that, like how would you even believe it? If it came on your Facebook feed right now, would you even believe it?
Because most of this stuff, we've been desensitized to media. We'd have to, if somebody walked in. So she brought an alien with her to Times Square. This guy was in an alien suit.
Okay.
Now, close up, you could kind of tell, okay, I think it's not a real alien. It's a suit with the seams and the weight, right? But Hollywood has great effects. Like, what would be the effect of even dressing somebody up, but like realistic looking, sounding alien walking in life? Would we even accept that? Facebook, one thing, right? Our media were desensitized to. But if somebody walked in through the front door,
With
came
an
up,
alien.
and they're an alien, yeah, would we?
I would definitely think it's a costume first.
Yeah.
I'd
so
just be like, that's a really good costume.
how would we get to that point of like,
It
we'd have
would-
to cut it open. It's got blue blood. Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if I'd have to cut them open. But
To
at
believe?
first I would be I think your natural assumption would be there's a person in a costume.
Yeah,
It
that's
would have to be. You'd be crazy otherwise. If you just saw some, like, imagine, because there are people in costumes walking around. You don't know. This is a film
we
factory.
got Batman
It
here
would
in
make
Kelowna.
perfect sense.
You seen
Yeah,
Batman
yeah,
walking
exactly.
around? Like
I'm not
it's
going to cut him open and find out.
you're not the real Batman,
Bruce
are you?
Wayne or not. Yeah. What I'm afraid of, though, is what they'll use that kind of knowledge for, right?
What? Who with what knowledge?
Well, say if there has been alien contact or there has been alien presence and it's been covered up.
Yeah.
Okay, why has it been covered up? Why would it be disclosed now? Furthermore, maybe there isn't any alien contact. Maybe there isn't any kind of exposure to aliens at all, and it's something like the new terrorist. It's just the new war on whatever. So all of a sudden you have these holograms in the sky, bombs are going off, buildings are blowing up, and we're under alien invasion.
Well, that's interesting because that's a conspiracy theory. That's the
Well,
idea.
it's
So
just a
this
false flag idea that just has
there's
happened tons and tons
a
and tons of times
concept
before.
though that's an actual ploy that people might take on or some
Yeah.
authority might take on.
Well, it
And
makes
this
sense.
Area 51 spaceship that was found. That's what they're
Okay.
suggesting. The people that wrote
Well,
the article.
And then what you have to also try to entertain.
Not to create fear. That's not the point. We're not here to.
No, but you got to be prepared.
We got to have these conversations to
Yeah.
sort of break ideas down.
Break
and go,
ideas
was it
down,
rational?
chew on them.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
blind faith here, right? Let's actually
Yeah.
realistically think about stuff and go,
Mm-hmm.
are we prepared for change?
Are we? I don't know if we are. I think that if buildings started blowing up and there were images in the sky that looked like alien craft, I think a lot of people would join the military. I think the government would have an excuse to do anything they wanted to do.
Well, that's probably true. Do you think it would unite us, though, as
It
a
would.
species, as a humanity?
I think it would, yeah. At least whoever's buying into it.
Hopefully, it's not just this shift, then, right? Like we got to feel like we're at war with something. We shift it from being at war with each other to now
Yeah.
it's this space.
Well, you
war.
ever see The Watchmen?
The Watchmen?
It's basically the plot of The Watchmen.
I think I
The DC
have.
Comics movie
I'm trying to remember which
adaptation.
movie.
Giant blue guy with penis hanging out all the time.
Really?
Well, yeah, I mean that's probably the most memorable part of the movie.
I don't think I've seen it.
Anyway,
I'm a
it's about
Brooklyn Nine-Nine fan. It feels a little bit more wholesome.
It's a DC Comics movie, but it is rated R. And it's basically the end of. Oh, I don't want to spoil the movie for you. Plus, everybody, I got to get used to that. Can't just
Yeah.
offer spoilers.
No.
Anyway, that's
Be
basically
flagged.
the plot of the movie. Is that an external threat unites mankind in
Interesting.
peace?
Interesting.
Yeah, and it's all, and the peace is just the results justify the means in the movie. It's interesting. It's an interesting question.
Sounds interesting. You know, I don't think did we either of us actually cue anything up to cut to, because that was part of the idea, and I want to share
got
a video.
weather.
You got weather? Can I cut to the weather?
Cut to the weather. I'll
Can
talk.
you zoom in on that? I'm gonna try and make it appear good.
Here we go.
All right, here, let's go to the weather.
Woo!
Kelowna weather. So
Kelowna
for all you
weather.
travelers, if you're thinking about coming to the Okanagan.
It is -3 as of 6 a.m. Let's refresh this bad boy here. -4, 7 a.m. Wow. Thank you, Okanagan. Where do you think it's colder right now? Is it colder in Ontario, maybe?
Is it colder in Ontario?
Who knows? Who knows these things?
You're not going to give us an answer?
You want me to? Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. Seems
Well,
boring.
I feel like
Seems
that's
a boring thing to do.
We don't have a technique. Yeah, it probably is. It's just one of those things. Okay, I'm going to you full screen.
Okay.
All right.
What? Oh, on my face. Got you.
Yeah. What'd you think I meant?
I don't know. Man, this computer screen. I'm still learning too, Travis.
Yeah, I feel like I gotta have this all queued up before we actually.
We should do live performances in this space.
That'd be great.
Yeah, it would be.
We could open the door.
Mhm.
Or do you mean just cram a full 12-piece band in here?
No, just a solo artist, but one of us would have to, well, both of us would probably have to leave. We'd like set up
Yeah.
the thing and then let it go.
Oh, that's all right, hey?
Actually, you could stay in here, but one of us would have to leave.
Switch
for
between
sure.
the cameras?
Yeah. Set the cameras up on the artist. They can play. Have both the microphones on the artist,
Yeah.
and then just let them do their thing. Have something to cut to before and after, so we can have a transition time.
Well, we could also run the cameras into a different room, right? Like
that
go into the
possible,
theater.
though?
Yeah, like it's easy. And XLRs are long, video cables are long.
Oh, that's awesome.
I I think.
What about the studio next door? You had to pay for that, eh?
We could maybe get a couple of. Maybe we could work something out with these guys to do a test or two in there.
Well, the theater is cool too. It's a
Yeah.
cool looking place.
We put something up on the screen behind them, like a backdrop. If
Yeah.
they're standing on a
that'd be
mountaintop or
cool.
something.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. We should test that out.
Yeah.
I'd be down for testing that out.
That's cool. All right. So there you go. And I'm not able to log into.
It's all good. So, I'm not sure what to talk about.
Oh, sign in. You ever get to a website and you try to sign in, but it's the registration page? Sit there. Again.
I can never remember my passwords. I only have 3 of them.
3 passwords, so you never change your passwords.
What? I change them all the time. I just change them back and forth from each other.
I modified my password.
And now you can't figure it out. You see?
There we
what
go.
I'm talking
There
about?
we go. Do you use two-factor authentication? Do you blank stare. Okay.
Yeah.
Here, let
Of course
me.
I do.
This thing. Oh, that's. Can you hold it up to your camera?
Why? It's still not gonna work.
It's so bright.
Yeah, it's too bright.
All right. All right.
Calm that stuff down.
It's another step in our process.
Yeah.
We'll get there. Oh, I could turn the brightness down, maybe.
I'd like to.
There you go. Okay, hold that guy up.
Okay, there we go.
There you go. Yeah, two-factor authentication.
No,
so
I
you
don't
get
know
all
what
those
that is.
numbers.
Yeah, okay.
It's this is the Google Authenticator app, and
Nice.
basically I like take a picture of a QR code. It scans a QR code on a screen for all my accounts, and then when I log in, if I haven't logged in through this device before, I have to enter one of these 6-digit codes. So I have to type my password and put the code in, and the code changes every minute or so.
Okay.
So somebody can't, even if they get my password, they can't hack into my account because they would need my phone with the code.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Wild.
So it makes it even, it's a two-factor security.
Yeah. The future is more secure.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's suggested, especially if you're getting into Bitcoin or anything like that, that you definitely use two-factor authentication for your accounts. You wouldn't want the risk of, it's like a bank. Actually, in my opinion, it makes it more secure than a bank. You know, you call your bank and you're like, oh, would you know your security word?
Yeah.
The other day, I called a bank and they're like, oh, you don't have a security word. I'm like, what? So there are cases where people can get enough information about you to call your bank or access your bank account, right? Because they're dealing with a third party. They're dealing with the bank, and they could you could talk to people. You can get enough information to figure it out. But with this, unless you truly have the 2 factors of authentication, what are you going to do? You can't talk to somebody else and talk to them.
You're
into
just going to have to go get a gun and rob you the old-fashioned way.
Give me a phone.
Yeah.
Okay, easy on the guns. There's a big gun issue. Actually, Trump's
yeah,
going to be
what's
talking
going
to the
on?
states, and this is mainstream news.
Oh, yeah. But that was... Yeah, I didn't hear anything
There
about it.
was another shooting in
Yeah,
the
of course
states,
there was, yeah.
and it's unfortunate. But on the CBC, the radio this morning, they were saying, the last like 4 shootings, the conversation shifts to gun control, and they're
Mm-hmm.
saying, well, why don't we have more conversations about mental health and well-being? That's really where the conversation needs to go.
I'd like to
agree
hear some
completely.
conversations about how society is going and why this might be a symptom of a sick society.
Well, that's that mental health piece.
I don't know if that's still kind of like doesn't really hit the mark. I think the way we live in cities particularly causes these problems.
So yeah,
Not the
there's
fact that
two
the
sides.
individual is like, oh, there's a bunch of more crazy people nowadays than ever before
You think
because
that's
we can
a
identify
symptom?
them.
A symptom of the
Of the isolation and all the other things that goes along with living in cities, right?
Mhm.
And hooking up to screens and being involved with screens and all that social distortion that we don't understand what it's doing to us yet. But there's no conversation. The interesting thing about that is there's no conversations about that. There's only conversations about the gun control.
So
which
we
I'm
seem to. I don't know about no.
well maybe
Maybe
yeah.
it's digging through the noise to find the few conversations that are happening. Because if there are, they're few and far between, right? Maybe 1 or 2 like us. How many viewers we got right now? Two,
Three?
three
wow.
people reached, but 2 viewers. That's us.
No, there's 3 at the top. 3
Oh,
little
3.
eyeball.
Oh, that's cool.
Hey.
So you, me, and somebody else.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I wonder what whoever's watching. I wonder what you think.
Yeah.
So I think gun control. I think the reason people don't want gun control is because what?
I didn't know if somebody commented or not.
Oh no, I think the people why do you think people are afraid of gun control?
Is that the question? Are people afraid?
Well, what's the resistance to it?
Well, I don't know if that should be the focus of the conversation. Like, why even address?
It's not, but that's part of it.
So are you asking, like, why do we keep making gun control the focus? Like, why would people not want it or something?
Yeah, I'm asking why are people so afraid of it? Because to be honest, if the government wanted to crack down on you, that's the reason I hear most often is because guns are for the people to protect themselves against not really the government.
It's Fourth Amendment or something in the States, or Fifth Amendment or something.
But they've got nanobots, man. They've got drones.
That's
that can
maybe why
shoot
they
you
don't
from
care. Actually,
they got drones that can kill you from miles and miles away.
Give the people their guns. And
if they don't,
Transformer bots that just take people out instantly.
So
yeah. So
I just don't get I don't think that's the issue.
You don't think the issue is the
gun control? What, are we going off? We're going off down the rabbit hole now. Okay.
Into the deep conspiracy theorem of the world. No, that's not what this is about. This is actually a valid point. I'm just thinking there are people having good conversations out there that I think in the mainstream, when we look at that, the conversation does lean towards gun control, and presumably maybe that's what Trump will talk about today.
For sure.
But
I mean, going through my news feed the other day, that's all I saw. I mean, that's obviously just my friends and my little social group, but whenever things happen like this, you get tons of posts and people posting like, "Oh, I'm so sick of it." People, and they're talking about gun control. They're like, no one cares. No one wants to do anything about gun control, but it doesn't matter what you do about gun control.
Right.
For several reasons. One, because it's not going to address the actual problem.
Mm-hmm.
And 2, because it's a non-issue. It doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you made a good point with that, with the robots at the end of the day.
Yeah, robots are just going to take us out at the end of the day. So
we're just killing each other with the guns that we have. And I don't think that if we all had weapons in our pocket, that's a good thing. If we feel any bit of stress, we're at higher risk of...
It'd be nice if something like martial arts was a part of school.
Ooh, why?
Well, because of the discipline and the respect it would teach you, and then the competence and the confidence.
Yeah.
Right. To be able to walk around knowing that you can defend yourself and that you're not a weak individual.
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't know. I'd be surprised to know how many people ended up committing atrocities who had some kind of background in a discipline like that.
Well, that's interesting. And the experiences I've had with martial arts, there is a component that is about, well, depending on the art, but there is a component of our connection to ourself or the world, or, I mean, even in Muay Thai, a discipline from Thailand that was designed to defend the village and the elephants and protect the elephants from people invading and trying to steal from you and kill you, was it's a very spiritual and no, I don't know about spiritual, but like it has a deep purpose in its positive in a way, even though it's still a fighting, aggressive form. So one of the first things I learned in that class is the respect, right? Just like you're saying, because you can kill a person. So don't walk around, like, don't make the first move. Just don't go out and harm others.
See, that's where we disagree a little bit, I feel. And I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I feel like you think that aggression is a negative thing. Whereas I feel it's not a negative thing at all.
Aggression,
yeah.
Oh, I think aggression can come from fear.
Sure. Right?
Like anger, if we're going to park it in that same camp. And then I think that's just that's unresolved.
I think it's just masculine
emotion.
Energy. And I don't think it can do bad things. It can do good things too. I don't think it's a negative though.
Oh, so maybe that's how it's looked at. Because you see the potential energy that one might label as aggression when it's expressed,
Yeah.
But I think there's so many ways to express it that I met a fellow at a music festival, Camp Music Festival, and he was into jiu-jitsu, and he said jiu-jitsu is really just a form of play. And then that changed my whole perspective on it. That, wait a minute, if as men, if we have, women too, anybody that we've got this potential energy building up inside of us, we want to release it somehow, that wrestling with one another or even having different forms of martial arts as an expression of that energy can be this flow. And to an outsider, it could appear aggressive, but to me, the definition of aggressive would be when taken out into the world or against another person for a reason to do harm.
Yeah.
Right. If it has that harm intention behind it, that's how I would define aggression, instead of just an expression of a lot of yang energy, for example.
Okay.
Which could be perceived as aggression, but if it doesn't have that harmful intent, like it's more of a play or just an outlet,
Well,
I don't think it's aggression.
What about a lumberjack cutting down a tree?
If he hates that effing tree,
But he's doing harm to the tree.
it's the intent. So if he's doing it just to do his job, but his intent isn't to like kill the tree, right? And be like, I got to take down this tree.
But
This
his
tree's
intent is to kill the tree.
maybe his intent is just to get the paycheck, right?
It doesn't matter. He's trying to kill the tree. He's actively swinging the axe with force
So here's
and aggression.
I hear ya.
With the intent to take that tree down and kill it. But it's not negative.
Yeah, see, that's an interesting one.
The whole thing's
Because the
interesting. I'm trying
intent
get you
was
think
to
about it.
kill it, but if his intent was just to get the wood, right? Because up in Haida, for example, there's the natives who will strip the bark off the trees, or if they have to take down a tree, they'll talk to the tree first. They'll basically ask it permission.
Sure.
So they'll still have that. They have the intent for the use of what this tree can give them, but it's not with the same intent of like, I'm just going to kill it because I want money or I want profit or whatever. It's this relationship with the tree.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
But I feel that aggression, I still stand by my point. Aggression's not an inherently negative thing.
But what makes it, if I'm going to talk to the tree and ask it permission to cut it down versus I'm just going to cut it down versus
Well, that's
I hate
talking
this
about
tree. I'm gonna cut it
one
down.
people's practices, right? I agree with it. It sounds lovely. But it doesn't mean it's the only right way to do it.
But
It
are
doesn't
all,
mean that aggression. It doesn't mean that the lumberjack is just trying to get his paycheck is doing something completely negative,
right.
right?
So my question is though, are all three of those acts of aggression? Or do you think?
I don't know. That's a tough question. I didn't experience what you experienced up there, so it's hard to say just based off what you're talking about.
Like even just the idea of somebody asking, permission to cut down the tree to the tree versus just arbitrarily cutting down the tree versus having like this hateful vengeance towards the tree.
Well, I guess we'd
Are
have
all
to
three
we'd have
aggression?
to identify what aggression actually is and define it, right? Because I think you're defining it as force with malice intent.
Right. Yeah. That's
Right.
how I would define it. Or ignorance of using your energy. So the malice intent could be conscious, but it could also be ignorant.
So what about a football team competing for a championship?
Now, in my own experience playing sports, I can play with aggression, or I can play in more of a friendly,
Okay.
sportsman-like conduct versus aggressive conduct, I would say.
And do you have any inclination to which one you win with more?
Well, regardless of winning and losing, in my
that's
own
right.
experience, there's points where I would become aggressive towards my teammates, and I've had this experience
Okay.
because I'm venting from something at home, or I'd say it was ignorant in a couple of cases where I'd actually want to I want to take that guy out. I want to check him against the boards really hard. I actually want to hurt that guy
Yeah.
versus just playing the game and playing with all of my energy to try and score a goal. But I wasn't aggressive towards the puck. Like I wasn't smashing. To me, so that's the difference between this sort of anger, aggression versus just
Yeah.
playing with all of my energy until exhaustion.
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. I'm trying to illustrate points where you can have aggression without that malice intent, because I feel you can. I feel like a football team trying to win a championship is exactly that.
Right.
It's a force of aggression without malice intent. I feel like chopping down a tree is a force of aggression without malice intent. And now, obviously, both of those are subjective. Like, we can go back and forth. Like, you're right. You know, maybe in sports, you know, if you want to hurt the other team or whatever, right? So that's aggression with malice intent. Maybe when you're cutting down a tree, you're ignorant to the environment, or, you know, you're not being thankful or grateful for the sacrifice of the tree. And so that's malice intent. I mean, there's a lot of words here that we have to define before we got to the bottom of any of this.
And it's interesting because we can, maybe that's the world we live in now with knowledge, and we get this exploration of words and what it means, and that's how we get along as a society, and this is a definition of cultured, right?
Yeah.
We're in a, what do you call that, like a classy civilization of, I don't know, the culture, like if you get invited to a nice dinner and you have to know how to act or talk to civilize. That's
there
the
you
word.
go. Yeah.
Civilized versus just being tribal or barbaric and not knowing, how to sit down and have a conversation. Because there definitely can be different levels of using these words.
Mm-hmm.
And aggression could mean different things to different people.
Absolutely.
And, where I've changed on my own ignorance of my act towards others has just become because I've learned of what anger can do and the danger of it. But what is the intent? And playing sports together, for sure, it can be, I get that seemingly aggressive.
Well, I think regardless of what you feel, the malice like how much malice intent is in any particular action, I think that aggression is an inherently male energy. Not saying that it's not in females as well, because it really is, but I think it's a masculine energy. And I think we live in a time and a place right now where all things masculine have been vilified, and have been like, like aggression is malice, it's pain, it's hurting people. But I don't think it is. I think that's just the kind of script that we're going with right now in society. And I think there's a danger to that as well, because you and I and anybody who has those masculine energies, including females, deal with aggression. And it's not something you should feel guilty about. It's not something you should run away and hide from. It's something that you should utilize and understand and cope with.
So that potential energy that we've got inside of us that you would label as aggression, that, I was going a bit further, and maybe that anger is what I was trying to describe.
Sure,
right?
yeah.
And just separating those for a second. How we use what you're describing as aggression, how we use this potential energy that's stored in us.
Yeah, that's super important.
Matters. Yeah, and how we teach it and allow it to take form or expression, especially with youth.
Exactly. And the last thing I just don't think it's healthy for people dealing with aggression, dealing with those kind of things, to have such a negative connotation of it. That's all.
Right.
I think we should all be proud, strong, masculine males, and we should identify that. We should understand that it's powerful and that it's capable of great evil, right, and great terrible things. But we should understand that, cope with it, and decide to be better. Decide to be the better versions of ourselves rather than the worst versions of ourselves.
It's like getting to be aware of every aspect of who
Your
we
shadow
are.
self, right? You've heard that terminology.
Yeah, I think that's another aspect to our being other than aggression, though. Like maybe it can become part of our shadow.
Talking about the
driving force.
Carl Jung's shadow self.
Right.
What are you referring to, shadow self?
Well, I just think that's another direction to take the conversation in, outside of just the idea of this potential energy stored in us.
Okay, we don't have to talk about it.
Well, we can.
Well, I was.
I'm just trying to keep these pieces together in my mind of where this conversation's going and why.
It's not going,
right,
because
it could just
hole.
We could banter for another hour. So
sure. Do you want to
trying to come up with where's this conversation going?
Another headline
comes up for me.
It's going to exploring ourselves,
which is cool. But again, this is being a part of a test podcast. That's kind of what we're here. And if we wanted to do have conversations about different topics or different things over a period of time, like we're going to talk about. Even if it leads into another thing, like, okay, shadow self. Tomorrow we're going to talk about
I see.
our
Yeah,
shadow
yeah.
self. So
Okay.
stay tuned. Now we're going to jump
Gotta
to a
find
video or something.
what is it called? Pause breaks? No, commercial
It's
breaks.
like
I guess.
chapters of a book. I think it's just where does the conversation around one idea stop and then the next one begin,
Gotcha.
right? Instead of it just endlessly
Going
bleeding
on,
into one
going on,
another.
going on.
Joe Rogan's got his audience, but we don't have to copy that style,
That's true.
right?
Yeah. Why would we want to? It's only like billions and billions and billions of people who enjoy his podcast every single day.
But that's an interesting. So everybody sort of fulfilling a different purpose in society as we move forward. As soon as we started bantering today, I got an image of a few of my friends from high school who are in our age group and out there working in the world and just finding new ways of doing things and finding their artistic expression. I think that's amazing. I think there's a lot of. I want to be able to watch this show too, and I want to think, how's it going to enrich my life?
There was a guy yesterday I met. His name's Scott. He owns a vinyl press. Went to Germany to buy it. Went to Germany, spent $10,000 buying this machine and getting trained how to use it, and then he got like a package of supplies with it as well, and then brought it all back to Canada. Lives here in Kelowna. It's probably the only vinyl pressing you can do here in the valley, and he just does it like one record at a time in his house, like pressing the. It's not pressing; it's like carving out the records. Is a more accurate way of saying it. But it's just interesting because he was talking about this kind of thing where his friends, he's 32 now, and all his friends are growing up and they're starting to be able to shape this town, Kelowna, the way they want it. So there's like his friends are starting venues and bars and stuff like that, Munis Post, and he's talking about how now as we're all coming up here, we have this opportunity where we've got a little bit of capital, we've got a little bit of wealth, and we can actually start influencing the town the way we want to do it. It's interesting to think of that as waves as the generations grow up. Each wave of generation gets to like have their moment to try to shape things and augment things the way they want to. But by the time you get the power, the capital, and the resources to do that, I guess it's a good thing because you learn lessons all the way through your life, right? If you got to shape society when you were 19, like if we all got to shape society when we were 19, it'd probably be a pretty messed up place.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it is a messed up place, but it would probably be a lot more ridiculous.
When I was growing up and going into from high school to college, somebody had told me about the way people's mindsets, and you get the different stages in life. Like the younger generation, if given the chance to decide how we budget for our economy, right? If you let the federal budget, for example, be decided by these different groups, you get the younger people and they put all the money into like education and socialism, like, community projects and all this. You get the later 30s, 40s, 50s, and they'd be putting all the money into capitalism and like tax breaks. And then you get the 60s, 70s putting it all into healthcare. It's
so funny because you think of those political divides as running through ideology. Well, I guess it does, but the ideology seems to be really informed by experience on the planet. Like if you're a young person and you don't have a lot of experience, you're more, I don't know, you're more, what was the word? I don't want to say naive because it's not,
ignorant maybe.
Yeah, but I guess, I don't know. But you just get jaded as you grow up, maybe is a better way to say that. You get more, I don't know. That sounds offensive.
So you're talking about the people, like, as we grow up?
Well, yeah, like, just like you're saying, like, the younger people are all like, let's put charities and help the world and feed the poor and all this stuff. And then as you grow up, you get a job you hate and you start going through the grind. And then all of a sudden you're 40 and you're like, where's mine? Not in my backyard. I worked hard for this. And your whole attitude changes a bit.
Right.
Doesn't it?
For sure.
It seems like it.
For sure. And interesting, you get to a point where what you're building or working towards starts to matter more. Like we become so attached to it.
Yeah.
Like, well, I just spent 15 years of my life building up this title for myself, and this matters in my home, and like I want to keep it's my perfect life. I don't mess with it.
Well, didn't we talk once on a podcast about homelessness and like the adverse reactions some people have to homelessness?
Right.
Like people get like really angry, really upset.
Describe that one more time. People get upset because of or at what?
Well, I think, anytime you see like undue aggression towards a homeless person or something like that from some well-working person in society, let's say, it's always interesting to me where that stems from.
Does this
Because
include like an avoidance of like, oh my God, let's go to the other street, or more like
Maybe.
specifically directed towards them, like, get a job.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking in my head for a clear example. Is like someone, yeah, exactly. Like you degrading and like being mean above and beyond any kind of use, right, towards someone who's unfortunate or less fortunate than they are. It's like, where does that anger come from?
Right.
You would assume it comes from within somehow, right? Like they're angry at their life in some way or some fashion.
Right.
And seeing that homeless person or whatever that homeless person represents to them reflects that back at them in a way where they can't handle it without that anger.
Right.
Is that clear? I don't know if that was clear enough.
I
You get what I'm
distracted
saying?
myself.
Okay.
I just realized the 3 viewers is I've got it up on 2
Oh, yeah.
monitors. So
Woo!
it's us.
It is Black Mirror.
We're stuck here again. And then I was playing a little mind game with myself, that visualization, like one day it'll say 300,000. And then I started thinking of, wow, that like changes the energy of when you got all these people watching, all of a sudden the way we're talking, like the feeling changes.
That's why I want to get good at not caring.
Yeah, it shouldn't. I don't think it should change the way we...
That's why we just got to talk to each other. And I understand, though, I really do understand you want to get segments. We don't want to drone on and on and on and on. But we'll get better at that.
Yeah.
And we'll get better at, like, chopping things up and being like, well, we'll talk more about this on the podcast, blah, blah, blah.
Right, for sure.
But
for sure.
I think the main purpose of these tests, this if we are going to do, like, 100 of them at first, is to get our personalities to the point where we're super, super comfortable, very vulnerable in front of the camera. I think once we get there, that's like everything else that's the tricky part.
So I want you to continue with that homelessness piece, but can I take a quick side to it?
Absolutely.
Or you can hold that thought?
I think so.
How are we doing so far? If you're going to give me honest feedback, for example, am I feeling to you like I'm being authentic and vulnerable, or am I putting on a front?
You're feeling authentic and vulnerable to me, but you're also distracted because you're trying to figure stuff out.
That's true. That does take away from.
And then you also have this idea of how you want the show to be. So that,
with structure-wise of how and what we're talking about? Or
yeah, and also in like
presentation?
content and attitude, right? Like, and it's just I think it's just a like the aggression thing. It's just a matter of perspective.
Right.
I don't think talking about aggression is a negative thing. I think it's important, and it's something that we should be talking about on programs like this, and how to deal with it and stuff like that. And so I guess I'm less worried about shielding our audience from certain topics, maybe.
That's cool. And maybe it's not about, I don't mind having conversations about certain things for sure. My resistance came from knowing how, so this show feels like it would be different than maybe the podcast, but maybe I react the exact same way, but something that we can just talk for a longer period about something specific.
See, that makes sense, though. It does make sense when you say it like that. We want to make a half-hour program for people to tune in, figure out what's going on, and then go on with their day. They don't want to hear me talk about aggression for 20 minutes.
Right.
Right.
But that would be a great podcast
on the
material.
podcast. You're totally right. Right.
So maybe there's still a point to that, having that outlet. I think we can touch on things, and it's part of our nature is just to have this very natural conversation, which I love. And I would like us to be able to start at, if we know that we're starting to have a conversation about something, to be able to sort of hang it up on the wall or like check it and then come back to that conversation in a setting that allows us to go down that path.
Yeah.
So we can touch on paths and identify paths, but we don't have to go down any of them yet. And then we can come back either in the podcast or find a space to go on that journey together in this show.
Absolutely.
It's almost like being able to write our outline together and then come back to all that stuff.
Well, the way I see it, too, is that this is what you're creating here is a template of sorts. But, like, there's, in the long journey towards a 24-hour live stream, there's going to be lots of pocket of time to, like, say I want to do an hour-long show where I do talk about whatever I want to talk about.
Right.
Or maybe I talk about the local scene for a half hour.
Yeah.
And we just do that as its own segment, and that's what it is. And
Yeah.
it's just like, it's just like this program, it's set at a time, always going to be at that time.
Yeah.
But it's for a different kind of audience, people who are interested in that kind of thing. Whereas this show we can tailor it towards, it's basically the flagship show.
Right.
the flagship.
Yeah.
Just,
That's exactly it.
So there's a time and place for everything. So I'm not worried about trying to stuff it all into this show. But I do think the charm of having us talk to each other in this kind of setting is that we talk.
I agree.
Right? And we go down certain paths of conversation that are interesting to us, and they will be interesting to other like-minded people.
Yeah.
But you're right. There needs to be a balance there. There can't be like a 20-minute conversation on every interesting thing that we talk about, or otherwise we're going to run out of time pretty quick.
Yeah. So actually, this is fantastic. I just learned a bunch of things with you right now. One is the clarity around everything that we're creating is getting better and better. So working towards this 24-hour thing, there's room for all these different segments. They're really just release times, hold us accountable that, we're creating this content on a daily and weekly basis. And then being able to segment it off so that the audience knows where to find what when they want it. And to have room just to explore ideas together. And that's what we're setting the stage for here, which is awesome. Because it gives us room just to experiment and see where it goes and see where the conversation goes.
Absolutely.
And then that leads me to the final thought around this is getting better at time. And maybe that's what we work towards. We get the technical bugs worked out. We get our research and ability to have things queued up and know how that all functions so it's smooth. And then have a clock up on the screens and just get better at counting down. So some shows and segments can go on, but I think mastery over time becomes a really good thing. And that's something I learned working in TV in Calgary is everything was timed, right? We get cues down to like, here, you got 10 seconds. You can say a lot in 10 seconds, but it's learning how to time yourself out and the back timing that comes into television of you start at this time, you end at this time. There's no exceptions. If you're still talking, it'll just cut you off mid-sentence.
Yeah. And
that just doesn't look good to the audience. It looks like you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah,
so it becomes a matter of you become more polished and look like a pro, and then people want to emulate you.
I agree with that. There is a reason, though, that podcasts are becoming more popular than television, though, and that's one of them. It's because television has become this format that doesn't really make sense anymore. Trying to fit everything in between commercial breaks, trying to manufacture hard-hitting conversation points inside of a time frame becomes disingenuous when people have the option to go listen to two people having a genuine conversation about it. So it depends on what you're trying to do. So like I said, with this flagship idea, we're trying to do like a half-hour news thing. Absolutely. Let's just like boom, 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 boom. But that is the charm of podcasting. That's why people are attracted to it, is because it disavows the traditional television format.
I only agree with that to a point.
Oh, what's that?
And that's as you look at the podcast coming out in this massive sea of media that we have access to, it begins more and more to emulate television. And if you look at the successful audiences with millions of viewers, Joe Rogan maybe being an exception, but his format has become this long form talk show. The quality begins to rival television. So it's not that we have to fit it into this chunk, and the only access we have to our audience is through this television channel. And the deal is we've got to have commercials every 6 minutes.
Yeah.
And we're limited to this 30-minute time slot. The internet presents the long tail, which means we can fit as many shows. There can be millions of shows on the internet. There's no limit, right, to only this many shows on this network.
Yeah.
And with that, it doesn't have to strictly follow the format of television, but the shows that become more popular are more polished, have a higher quality to them, and start to honor some like it's that routine or that rhythm for the audience. They're like, oh yeah, I know what to expect with this. Like it fits perfectly into my 30-minute bike ride after work. And if they were to drone on, I'd be looking for a different podcast, because now all the podcasts compete with each other. So I could be looking for ones that are inconsistent, or I could be looking for ones that are consistent. And the consistent ones, I'm going to argue that over the next 5 to 10 years will gain larger audiences. Doesn't mean that it, makes the other podcasts like they're crap or anything. It just, there's so much choice out there that the consistency is what's going to deliver to a greater span of people.
Agreed.
And so, yeah, with that, we don't have to have commercial breaks exactly at 10 minutes of every show, but the commercialized podcasts end up dropping them in somewhere. And I think to get in and out, I have heard podcasts where they'd be like, okay, well, we're running out of time. And I think that's just to honor the amount of time it takes to prepare and record these and to get them out, and then the audience is listening.
Well, especially with guests. Anytime you have guests or anything, you're on their time
Yeah.
schedule.
And that's where I love the idea of let's record certain segments and release them as the extended version. Like you can go listen. It could be 45 minutes, it could be 50 minutes, it could be 2 hours. That doesn't matter. But the main shows we produce are a lot more condensed and specific.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Right? Because then that's like our marketing. That's our calling card. That's our watch this first. You know what you're getting, and then go get the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. I think we're on an awesome path here, though, to create a lot of good things, and the conversations inspire a lot of thought. And I think being able to have the conversation with other people, too, and bring people in, like the conversation on even aggression, like there's so many different viewpoints. Like there's big topics that we can get into. I think we can scratch the surface with just us talking about it.
Well, plus we're pretty ignorant. Like neither one of us are psychologists.
Right.
We shouldn't really be talking about any of that stuff, really.
And I'm trying to defend my own viewpoint and be like,
well, that's the point of having conversations, though, is to test your viewpoint. Because just because you feel solid in a perspective doesn't mean it's true. Doesn't mean that is the right perspective to have. So it's good to have conversations and test each other and test ideas. I mean, what are you done? Are you done being a human? You done growing now? Like, we've got tons and tons of things to evolve with.
yeah.
So,
And that's valuable.
Yeah, we shouldn't be afraid of it.
It's really valuable.
But I do get your point. We don't want people to get bored, and
the more we map out our show too, if we know different topics that we can have, like let's say 100, right?
yeah,
I really like this wheel of co-creation that Barbara Marx Hubbard has, and I wouldn't mind one day we can talk about it, and I'll bring it up on screen.
sure.
Because she broke down our society into these 12 sectors, and it really just makes it easier to break ideas into these different areas and have conversations within the different areas, because they're all areas in our world that we would be working towards change or are changing. Or like one is media, art and entertainment, sort of an area like our culture.
Okay.
And then you've got one that's education. How's the education sector changing? One's justice. How is justice changing, and how we uphold justice amongst people? Another one is infrastructure, like how is our infrastructure, our roads, and how water gets to us, and all of this. So it's nice to be able to have conversations in different areas. Even relations is one, right?
Yeah.
So our relationships with each other. And then to map it out and say, hey, this is an awesome conversation. In episode 40 we're going to actually dig into this deeper.
I've got an idea. They just sprung to my mind when you were talking there.
Yeah.
So what if, for right now, we do two different things? We make the half-hour show. I'd even be game for trying to make it for this Monday. I think we could.
Yeah.
Just hit the ground running. Just do it, man. Let's just put our money where our mouth is. Just make the show for Monday, and we start it off this Monday and do it every week. But also,
Keep going.
also in between that, what we do is we keep doing these live streams every day.
Yeah.
Every day we wake up and we come here and we do these live streams. And we don't even post these live streams. Like, we just let them live stream, but we don't post them after. The only thing we keep up on the page is the polished half-hour show. And these live streams, we're recording it on your Zoom, so if we actually record an episode that we really like, we can then release it as a podcast. But for now, the live streams can just be us getting all the technical bugs worked out, getting our conversation worked out, discussing the project in live real time with anybody who's watching.
That's cool. So then whoever jumps in on this, they're only going to see this live
while it's happening.
That's it.
Yeah.
It'll never exist again.
Exactly. And if it's a particularly good conversation, then we'll mine it for podcast material.
Right. Because you can always go and check out our podcast on SoundCloud, our website, notradio.net.
Or Stitcher.
Yeah, we're on Stitcher and iTunes, Google Play Music. Mm-hmm. Not Spotify yet. That one's a bit of a challenge to get on.
Can you get podcasts on Spotify?
You can, but you've got to already be on other sites. You've got to already be syndicated as a podcast.
Oh, I see.
So that leads me down the road of there's a podcast tool, a site that publishes your podcast to a bunch of different sources.
Okay.
So that's what I'm looking at right now.
That's groovy. I didn't know that. That's
Let you know.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Accessibility is the name of the game. Hey, we had another viewer for about 10 seconds there.
That's good. Just
I
checking it
told
out.
them to go to notRadio, and then they left. Like, oh, this is the big advertisement. I'm out of here.
Maybe they went to notRadio. Do you think if it'll register people on the website watching on Facebook? It won't, will it?
If
People go to
yep,
notradio.com.
.tv, not net,
Okay.
not
Yeah.
radio.net.
Notradio.net. They go there and they see the player.
Yeah.
Is it Facebook's
It
going to
would,
register that
because
they're watching?
I'm watching off of our website on these two screens, and it's registered us.
Okay.
Like, I'm pretty sure if I close this window, were we that boring that our one viewer just like left?
Well, we'll get tons of that, man. People are like they're scrolling through their feed, they see it, and they might click on the sound for like a second, and then they'll click off and just keep scrolling.
And be like, there's no captions. This is nope.
Yeah, I can't read. That's so funny, but that's a big
Can you
thing.
imagine having live captions on this?
Oh my, we'd have to have a computer smarter than us.
So I close that window and it still registers as 3 views. So I don't know.
Well, maybe it'll go away in a minute.
All right, this is good.
Yeah.
This is part of the test.
Mm-hmm.
We see. I think part of what we can do too is look back in on what we've done. We talked about this to be able to share with others who want to be able to do live feeds, and when we get doing live music, that's going to be the real test. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, that will be. Do you think that'll be hard? I don't think it'll be hard.
I don't think it's much different than this, other than I've got a computer already set aside to take to our shoots.
Okay.
I just got to order a card for it, and then we'll get the cameras, and it just means getting the right camera or people with cameras out to be our camera operators. Which I had this idea, I was thinking yesterday, there's some great talent in town too when it comes to filmmakers.
Okay.
It'd be kind of neat to have a live show and bring out some different filmmakers who have their own styles and let them do their thing.
I'd still really like to produce some shows with you, like the round table idea, the bringing in someone like the big table who's gonna like do the farm to plate method and cook like a meal. Like say we
Yeah.
take your house,
Yeah.
set up the cameras just like we did for Bo.
Yeah.
Not a live stream thing. I mean, it could be, but like right now, I don't think we're there yet with what we have to work with. But like, you know, if we had a 3-camera shoot, all the sound recorded nice, we had 4 prominent people from the community sit around a table and have dinner and talk about the community, I'd post that. I'd watch that.
It's awesome.
Well, depending on who the people are.
I think it would be a lot of fun too. And I am a little bit distracted again. I'm going to take a picture because this is something that we got to get in the habit of, is actually taking. You got to create your own media in this day and age, hey? Like,
Oh yeah, until we can hire someone.
one finger on that button. All right.
Peace.
This is for Instagram.
Do you have a Not Radio Instagram?
We do, and something I'm trying to learn from Holly is how to use Instagram.
Instagram's so hot right now. It's the
Like
hottest
she's
platform.
got 300,000 followers. She releases these Instagram
This
stories.
girl.
Yeah, and
I'm sorry, Travis. It's not going to be that easy for you.
it's not just a sure thing.
I don't want to say anything.
She
that's
makes it
gonna
look
get me in hot
so
water.
easy. She just like
Okay, well, you put a bra on. You go wash your car. We'll take some photos and see if we get the same amount of responses.
yeah,
I don't think it's going to happen,
made me
dude.
nervous.
You can get the wrong
No.
kind of responses.
I'm gonna try one more picture here. That one is all overexposed. All right.
Power to the people, not radio. That's me.
See if that worked.
Cool.
Yeah. Power to the people, eh?
Is there anything you want to close off with?
What
I
am
got a
close
question
off
for
with?
you.
Hmm.
Do you want to go live right at 7 o'clock, or is like, what's the plan with that? Because you got the test screen that says like, please stand by. Today we stayed on it for like a couple minutes.
We let the music play out. So actually, I hit the screen. It plays one full classical music song. It's about a 4-minute song, I think.
Okay.
And then at the end of it, we start.
So we actually go live around 7:05.
Yeah, because that song gives the feed time for Facebook to kick it in, because it takes about 2 minutes for it to actually.
Well, why don't we start at like 6:55 then?
Okay, and then that song will
And then
be
we
our,
have like a hard start at like 7 o'clock. Like people at home can go like
yeah
7 o'clock. It starts.
yeah. So I'll schedule the feed for 7.
Yeah,
We'll go to the page and manually start it at 6:55.
got you. Okay, I think that will work.
Okay.
Give like a hard start time.
Yeah. Because when I schedule it, it shows up on our website and on our Facebook page as
As
we're
it'll
going to start
come
at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, I've seen
Yeah.
that.
So then it makes sense. We get
Pretty
here,
nifty.
start the the live feeds. You'll see "Please Stand By." I like the 7 o'clock. I mean, it's early. I don't know how many
get
people are
used to
actually
it.
going to be up and watching, but
Well,
Now-
enough people when we get rolling.
I think these test ones though we should just leave up on our page.
Sure.
I think it just for Not Radio, it builds up some content. It allows us to see what Facebook's going to do with it if they ever go back through and start taking stuff off because they say, "Hey, you played a video and."
Yeah, my whole reason for not letting them stay up it would just because to give us the freedom to like play around with whatever we need to play around with, and you know, maybe not have the most entertaining hour of conversation
Yeah,
if we needed to like work out bugs or talk about certain things.
maybe that's part of it. Maybe it'll somehow be in our advantage to just have like people can go and say, "Oh, they got 50 videos up," and what we keep saying in our message about the post. This is a test. We ramble for a while. We can leave some notes so that even we know what it is when we go back.
Yeah, sure.
Like, what was that one we talked about?
And then on Facebook, you
Space
can
Cow.
just like pin the actual show to the top of the page.
the,
for
the current one.
The
or
current one for the
last.
week, yeah.
Right.
So say we do them on Mondays,
Yeah.
publish it, and then pin it to the top of the page. And it's always at the top of the page, and we can be like, episode number, whatever,
Yeah. I
week
like that.
this, right? And then all the rest can be testing, live stream, test number 5 or whatever.
I like that.
All right, do you have anything left to say? Are we getting down to it?
You talk to them for a second. There is one video I want to play back just before we end here.
Okay.
Whether people will see it or not. It's part
Well,
of the test.
Yeah, I'm super excited to start doing this stuff. I mean, we're 4 in already.
It's pretty good.
It's not bad.
You know you're blocking your entire face with your mic?
Yeah, it's because I'm not actually here right now. This is just pre-recorded video, and I'm actually talking to everyone through a phone.
It's fine. So Michael sent me video footage of him, and I'm playing it back on the screen right beside me on that side.
There we go.
And
Is that better? You can
when
see
he's
my
not
luscious
talking, I'm
lips.
talking. That's why we're talking over each other a lot in this episode, because he's pre-recorded. So I'm trying to find the gaps in his comments and then respond.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of working.
It's like natural conversation almost.
It's amazing because it's like he already knew what I was going to say when he recorded his half.
I don't know what to talk about, Travis. Do you got that video up?
I have to find it. Let me jump over to.
Alrighty.
Um,
Oh, I need a beard
second.
trim. Anyone out there want to give me a beard trim? We should do that as a charity thing. You want to shave your head and your beard? We should do that as a charity
there you go.
type
Could I
thing.
donate the hair to somebody?
Can you imagine someone wearing your beard as hair? That would be hilarious.
Okay. Oh, it's downloading. It's downloading all
Okay.
the pictures.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen any good movies lately?
No, I've been watching TV.
Black
Brooklyn
Mirror?
Nine-Nine.
Brooklyn
I'm
Nine-Nine?
done. Black Mirror a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
Finished BoJack Horseman.
Okay.
Riverdale's caught up till March 8th.
Okay.
You're gonna wait a month for
You
the next
into Riverdale?
episode.
You like that one?
Yeah.
I haven't given it a chance.
We talked
yet.
about this, with Archie.
right,
You're like,
yes,
no,
yeah.
you're figure they can't redo.
Well, no, I just think it's it's a ploy.
Oh, I got actually I have a
marketing
couple
ploy.
of interesting things just to let me grab.
Lames 2, Taylor Swift. Can I read that, or is that a surprise?
Yeah, we'll talk about that one.
Okay.
Okay, yeah,
Oh,
you talk
that's
about
good.
that one. Let me get.
I don't
move
even
this
know what it
over.
is.
You can read it off the screen,
Okay. Some news coming to you. Some hot news for Taylor Swift. Okay, from the Daily Beast. Headline reads.
Hold on.
Okay.
Why is it laggy? So I can jump to my screen here.
There we go.
All right.
Boom. Okay. Taylor Swift's lyrics are too lame
There
to
it is.
copyright.
Yeah, a judge ruled.
So
you got-
what's going on?
gotta
So she
read.
tried to.
So she was in court because this other group was accusing her of taking the article. So this is her song, because the player's gonna play, you know that song.
Okay, yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And the haters gonna hate. And Sean Hall and Nathan Butler said they ripped off her composition to their song "Players Gone Play."
Okay.
Right? And their lyrics were, "The player's gonna play, them haters gonna hate."
Okay. Yes, they're
All
similar.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the judge was basically like, what did the judge really? Okay, where does he say his piece? It's not even music. He's like, the concepts players and haters, right? To render the phrases players gonna play or haters gonna hate, right? They're no more creative than runners gonna run or drummers gonna drum or swimmers gonna swim, the judge said. So he's like, the concept of actors acting in accordance with their essential nature is not creative.
Okay.
So he's just getting warmed up, and he's just basically like, you guys are not being creative. This doesn't warrant copyright. It's too short to copyright. You can't copyright those lyrics.
Okay, so is the headline to this article a bit misleading?
And
a little
somebody
bit?
else is like, no, he's not in music. But, yeah. Because
they were trying to sue her, right?
yeah, so, well, no, Taylor Swift. Yeah, they were trying to sue Taylor Swift
for copyright infringement.
for copying their lyrics.
Yeah,
and the
so-
judge basically said, no, neither of you guys can copyright those lyrics.
Yeah.
Because it's not creative. It's not like a metaphor.
Well,
It's not like...
Yeah, I'm glad that happened. That's ridiculous. Well, yeah, okay. I get it. I think the headline's a bit misleading, a little bit. I get it.
Okay. And then
I thought she was like trying to defend her, like if someone made a song that said "player's gonna play," and then she got all up in arms, was like, "I own those words." That's what I thought the headline was. Right. That's uber ridiculous.
Yeah. No. So
Well, yeah,
there you
like
go.
Two guys trying to get money out of Taylor Swift.
Yeah, that's exactly
Probably
what's
happens
happening
every day.
There you go. Here's that other story. This UFO ship that I was saying. This is what it looks like. It looks to me almost like if this black space is actually from the satellite, that they're rebuilding this underground spaceship that's clearly buried under the sand.
That looks like a pool or a pond.
Yeah.
Doesn't that look like water? Is that supposed to be a spaceship? Is that what you're saying?
What it is. Nobody's really saying.
It looks like a man-made pond with a boat launch in it.
So they're like, so what's going on? Well, maybe it's a landing pad.
There's, speaking of David Wilcox, doesn't he say that... Wilcox, sorry. Doesn't he say that...
I think Wilcox is a musician.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. You're right. David Wilcox, doesn't he say that a lot of alien or UFO sightings happen in and around water?
I don't remember that part, but that could very well be.
Yeah, I think that's something that he's on, the train he's on.
Interesting.
I've heard people say that a lot, too, that the water might be like a place where they conceal bases on Earth.
Oh, really?
They enter the water.
So, like, I heard
disappear
Antarctica,
below.
there's got to be something that goes on under...
Oh,
well, that was
sure.
X-Files, the movie. But apparently that whole show stemmed from something that Chris Carter knew about American space programs or something.
Maybe. I don't know. I loved that show, man.
That was a great show.
Have you seen the new ones, though?
The new ones?
Yeah, they just butchered it. It's one of those instances where it just... You guys like this? You guys fans of the show? Well, here you go. And they just, like, destroyed any kind of nostalgia.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was terrible. It's absolutely terrible.
Well, here's something crappy to go along with that.
Yay.
Just kidding.
Oh, I seen this already, yeah.
Did you? Because, you were talking about Valentine's Day yesterday and breaking up. But AI is not the way to...
Yeah, find some of the pictures for it.
So here's what I wanted to get at, though, with this is a video that is clearly not showing up. Because it should be...
Right there.
Yeah. Don't you love that? I cut this stuff out, and I haven't gotten to the bottom of how to do this yet.
What do you mean you cut stuff out?
Well, I save it. This was on the web.
Oh, okay. So instead of going back to the actual website, you save the information?
Yeah, and then just play it back. And this looks like a giant link, but I can't...
Maybe, yeah, I guess it doesn't work. Love Boy. Dog Love. That's a good one.
How do you...
Swool Mat.
Love Bot Kiss, you rock. So that's unfortunate.
All right. Well, this is part of learning.
Yeah.
So I guess what would just go to the website
there.
would be the best way to do it, right?
There it
Then
is.
or
Let's see if it'll work. Let's see if it'll take us to... There it goes. So yeah, I got to go back to the website. It's clearly slow loading. Then I can scroll down. There's the video.
there's the video.
So
Oh,
I'm
it's
gonna
a cute robot.
play this back with you guys. This explains how machine learning, how artificial intelligence works, and why YouTube's so messed up.
Okay, cool.
All right.
On the internet, the algorithms are all around you. You are watching this video because an algorithm brought it to you, among others, to click, which you did, and the algorithm took note. When you open the tweetbook, the algorithm decides what you see. When you search through your photos, the algorithm does the finding, maybe even makes a little movie for you. When you buy something, the algorithm sets the price, and the algorithm is at your bank watching transactions for fraud. The stock market is full of algorithms trading with algorithms. Given this, you might want to know how these little algorithmic bots shaping your world work, especially when they don't. In ye olden days, humans built algorithmic bots by giving them instructions the humans could explain. If this, then that. But many problems are just too big and hard for a human to write simple instructions for. There's a gazillion financial transactions a second. Which ones are fraudulent? There's octillion videos on NetMeTube. Which 8 should the user see as recommendations? Which shouldn't be allowed on the site at all? For this airline seat, what is the maximum price this user will pay right now? Algorithmic bots give answers to these questions. Not perfect answers, but much better than a human could do. But how these bots work exactly, more and more, no one knows. Not even the humans who built them, or built them, as we will see. Now, companies that use these bots don't want to talk about how they work because the bots are valuable employees. Very, very valuable. And how their brains are built is a fiercely guarded trade secret. Right now, the cutting edge is most likely very I hope you like linear algebra, but what the current hotness is on any particular site and how the bots work is a bit I don't know, and always will be. So let's talk about one of the more quaint but understandable ways bots can be built without understanding how their brains work. Say you want a bot that can recognize what is in a picture. Is it a B or is it a 3? It's easy for humans, even little humans, but it's impossible to just tell a bot in bot language how to do it, because really we just know that's a B and that's a 3. We can say in words what makes them different, but bots don't understand words, and it's the wiring in our brains that makes it happen anyway. While an individual neuron may be understood and clusters of neurons' general purpose vaguely grasped, the whole is beyond. Nonetheless, it works. So to get a bot that can do this sorting, you don't build it yourself. You build a bot that builds bots and a bot that teaches bots. These bots' brains are simpler, something a smart human programmer can make. The builder bot builds bots, though it's not very good at it. At first, it connects the wires and modules in the bot brains almost at random. This leads to some very special student bots sent to TeacherBot to teach. Of course, TeacherBot can't tell a B from a 3 either. If the human could build TeacherBot to do that, well then, problem solved. Instead, the human gives TeacherBot a bunch of B photos and 3 photos and an answer key to which is what. TeacherBot can't teach, but TeacherBot can test. The adorkable student bots stick out their tongues, try very hard, but they are bad at what they do. Very, very bad. And it's not their fault, really. They were built that way. Grades in hand, the student bots take a march of shame back to BuilderBot. Those that did best are put to one side, the others recycled. BuilderBot still isn't good at building bots, but now it takes those left and makes copies with changes and new combinations. Back to school they go. TeacherBot teaches, tests again, and BuilderBot builds again. And again, and again. Now, a builder that builds at random and a teacher that doesn't teach, just tests, and students who can't learn, they just are what they are, in theory shouldn't work, but in practice it does. Partly because in every iteration, BuilderBot's slaughterhouse keeps the best and discards the rest, and partly because TeacherBot isn't overseeing an old-timey one-room schoolhouse with a dozen students, but an infinite warehouse with thousands of students. The test isn't 10 questions, but 1,000,000 questions. And how many times does the test, build, test, loop, repeat? As many as necessary. At first, students that survive are just lucky, but by combining enough lucky bots and keeping only what works, and randomly messing around with new copies of that, eventually a student bot emerges that isn't lucky, that can perhaps barely tell B's from 3's. As this bot is copied and changed, slowly the average test score rises, and thus the grade needed to survive the next round gets higher and higher. Keep this up, and eventually from the infinite warehouse slaughterhouse, a student bot will emerge who can tell a B from a 3 in a photo it's never seen before pretty well. But how the student bot does this, neither the teacher bot nor the builder bot nor the human overseer can understand, nor the student bot itself. After keeping so many useful random changes, the wiring in its head is incredibly complicated, and while an individual line of code may be understood and clusters of code's general purpose vaguely grasped, the whole is beyond. Nonetheless, it works. But this is frustrating, especially as the student bot is very good at exactly only the kinds of questions it's been taught to. It's great with photos, but useless with videos, or baffled if the photos are upside down, or things that are obviously not bees it's confident are. Since TeacherBot can't teach, all the human overseer can do is give it more questions to make the test even longer, to include the kinds of questions the best bots get wrong. This is important to understand. It's a reason why companies are obsessed with collecting data. More data equals longer tests equals better bots. So when you get the "Are you human?" test on a website, you are not only proving that you are human, hopefully, but you are also helping to build the test to make bots that can read or count or tell lakes from mountains or horses from humans. Seeing lots of questions about driving lately? What could that be building a test for? Now, figuring out what's in a photo or on a sign or filtering videos requires humans to make correct enough tests, but there is another kind of test that makes itself. Tests on the humans. For example, say entirely hypothetical NetMeTube wanted users to keep watching as long as possible. Well, how long a user stays on the site is easy to measure, so TeacherBot gives each student bot a bunch of NetMeTube users to oversee. The student bots watch what their user watches, looks at their files, and do their best to pick the videos that keep the user on the site. The longer the average, the higher their test score. Build, test, repeat. A million cycles later, there's a student bot who's pretty good at keeping the users watching, at least compared to what a human could build. But when people ask how does the NetMeTube algorithm select videos, once again, there isn't a great answer other than pointing to the bot and the user data it had access to, and most vitally, how the human overseers direct TeacherBot to score the test. That's what the bot is trying to be good at to survive, but what the bot is thinking, or how it thinks it, is not really knowable. All that's knowable is this student bot gets to be the algorithm because it's 0.1% better than the previous bot at the test the humans designed. So everywhere on the internet behind the scenes there are tests to increase user interaction, or set prices just right to maximize revenue, or pick the posts from all your friends you'll like the most, or articles people will share the most, or whatever. If it's testable, it's teachable. Well, teachable. And a student bot will graduate from the warehouse to be the algorithm of its domain, at least for a little while. We're used to the idea that the tools we use, even if we don't understand them, someone does. But with our machines that learn, we are increasingly in a position where we use tools or are used by tools that no one, not even their creators, understand. We can only hope to guide them with the tests we make. And we need to get comfortable with that, as our algorithmic bot buddies are all around and not going anywhere. Okay, the bots are watching. You know what's coming. This is where I need to ask you to like, comment.
All right. There you go.
subscribe.
Go find him on YouTube. I don't know.
Give some
Bell
support.
me.
That was a
Where's
cool
that?
animation.
And share.
And share. Yeah, that was a pretty cool. I didn't even tell you guys where to find that. But it's called How Machines Learn, and the YouTube channel
Python's where it's at.
is.
You can.
Hang on a second. Actually, I can't find out. Computer's running slow. There you go. CGP Gray, and that's the American spelling, GRUI. I think Canada it's AY. Or do I get that backwards?
I have no idea. That's a good question.
Yeah. What a name. He just like CRP, CGP Gray. But good luck if you can find it.
Yeah. Well, that was interesting, though. That was really cool. I didn't know a lot of that. In fact, it's kind of scary.
Just let the machines go, right? And then
Yeah.
who knows what they're going to come back with or turn into.
Skynet. That's how it happens.
Yeah. I got a movie script that I'm working on, but I'm not going to talk about it
Oh, yeah.
because I can't let that cat out of the bag yet. But this is timely, so
Maybe after we clock off, you can fill me in on it.
you take over the show. I'm going to go take 2 weeks and write a script.
Okay.
Thank you. Just ciao. All right. That's the end of our show.
Peace out, everybody.
Any final thoughts?
Be kind to yourself. Explore the deepest, darkest regions of yourself. Don't be afraid of them.
Maybe tomorrow we'll talk about the shadow.
Maybe. Either way, yeah. Well, I love you all.
Have a great day.
Peace.
If you have a story idea, music or art to share, or any recommendations about great communities, businesses, or people doing awesome things in our new internet economy, contact us at thisisnotradio.com or notradio.net. They both go to the same place. And definitely subscribe to the podcast. Notradio.net. This is Not Radio. It's a podcast.